It's just gone 7 p.m. Central African time this Monday evening. A very warm welcome to G Sport Live. I'm Kass Naidoo, the founder of G Sport. What is G Sport? It's an initiative to raise the profile of women in sport and encourage greater corporate support of our sportswomen. We launched in August 2006, and you can find us at G Sport for Girls on social media and the latest women's sports news, including that great story about Ayabonga Kaka at the Fairbreak Invitational. You can find that at gsport.co.za. So Monday evenings, just a once a week check-in. How are things going in women's sport? And as you can see from the G Sport Newsroom, which is powered by Momentum in partnership with Telkom, our women in sport are just doing so well. Tonight on the show, we have a fantastic big interview on leadership with the legendary Desiree Ellis. That's ahead of our leadership edition of the newsletter coming out on Wednesday. We'll share that sign-up link on our social platforms, or also live tweeting this G Sport Live session. So any information we share here, we'll back it up with information across our social platforms. But that will come up with Desiree Ellis, and she'll share some great insights on leadership. But Monday nights are also about checking in with the G Sport Newsroom and to find out how things are going. Let's catch up with our G Sport content lead now, Celine Abrahams.
Thank you, Kass, and greetings to you all. It's always wonderful to have this opportunity to speak to you about the G Sport Newsroom and what we have been up to over the past week. I can tell you it's been pumping, with stories for women in sport in South Africa, across the African continent and globally. And before I get started on what has been making headlines in the G Sport Newsroom, I would just like to welcome our new members who have registered a profile on gsport.co.za, and to all our new followers across our social media platforms. Thank you for showing your support and amplifying women's sports coverage across the globe. Onto our highlights. Prudence Sekgodiso is currently the talk of the town. The SA 800-meter champion has been dominating track and field. This past weekend, we saw her take part in the Cape Kaino Classic, where she set the second fastest leading time. The only other South African to ever achieve this feat was South African double Olympic champion Caster Semenya. Prudence, we are so proud just to see how you've progressed in your career, and we can't wait to see what the future holds. As Prudence tops our leading weekend news, another youngster making headlines is Mishka Lapsha. The mixed martial artist won the bantamweight gold at the 2022 International Federation African Champs. It's wonderful to see how MMA is developing and to see more young girls taking part in the sport. Rounding up LWN is Melanie van Neerkerk, who won her first national surf ski title at the SA Singles event. Well done, Melanie. We're sure that this victory will boost your confidence heading into next events that will take place throughout this year. And as we continue to pump out those newsroom stories and bring you some exclusive interviews, we would love to know which reads have inspired you. The G Sport Newsroom team always loves your feedback, and we always try to make sure that we cover those gaps that are still in the communities across the country. Please do stay in touch with G Sport on gsport.co.za or catch us on G Sport for Girls across social media. It has been a pleasure speaking to you on this Monday evening. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Fantastic stuff from Celine Abrahams. She's doing a fantastic job in terms of ensuring that whenever stories break, whenever women's sport are making the headlines, everything goes live on gsport.co.za. I am so excited about Prudence Sekgodiso. They're calling her the next Caster Semenya. Wow, those are big shoes to fill, but she's doing incredibly well. She almost quit athletics, and now she's come back and literally winning everything that she's racing in. So hopefully we can get her on G Sport Live one of the days. Also yesterday, happy Mother's Day to all the moms. What a fantastic day we had celebrating the moms in sport. And when you have a look at just how moms are able to balance motherhood and the requirements there, and then being able to go out on the track or go out in the field and be able to represent the country, it's so special. Our very own Babsie Kutwana took on the challenge of running the motherhood campaign yesterday for Mother's Day, and she shares some insights on her experience.
Hi guys, I'm Babsie, and I had the privilege of covering the 2022 Mother's Day for G Sport. It was such a pleasure to work through it because, you know, we need to honor our mothers, and not just the ones who birthed us, but those who are in the industry who are mothers as well. This is how we get to show that you don't need to choose between being a mother or doing what you love, and how being a mother actually gives you that extra push, that gives you that resilience that you need in being the best that you can be, in whichever field that you need to be in. And I had the privilege of speaking to former Banyana Banyana captain Simphiwe Dludlu, who is currently the head coach of Bantwana, and she mentioned how being a mother and finding a way that you shouldn't have any favorites between your kids, and that helps her within being a coach, especially with teenagers. And I spoke to long distance running sensation Babsie Kutwana, and she mentioned that the resilience that you need to be a mother, and how you need to make sure that with each challenge that you counter, you can use that within. She uses all those tools in her long distance running. And within her career, whenever she's in an interview, she remembers that I have a child who's looking up to me, and she just pushes through and becomes the best version of herself. In her words, you can't pour from an empty cup. And then I also got the chance to speak to aerobic gymnast champion Dominique Kroos, who just showed that you need to be easy on yourself. So often we put so much pressure on ourselves as mothers that we need to bounce back, and we need to learn our body.
Babsie Kutwana chatting
We're
about
super excited in the G Sport newsroom.
Babsie Kutwana chatting to us about the Mother's Day campaign that we ran yesterday. For me, what came out so strongly in this wonderful piece written by Babsie, you can catch it on gsport.co.za. The piece was really about resilience, but also how the lessons of motherhood can spur us ahead when it comes to us being women in sport. So great insights from Simphiwe Dludlu, Dominic Kroos, and of course Babsie Kutwana, a former Momentum G Sport award winner. And that's the thing about sport, isn't it? It's not just what happens on the track. So much goes into it. And that's what our big interview is about tonight. It's about leadership in sport. It's about how we're able to forge ahead and bring others with us. And I can't think of a better person to be interviewing than the woman that I'm speaking to tonight. I caught up with her earlier, the legendary Desiree Ellis, to talk about leadership in sports and some of the lessons that she has for us. And welcome to the big interview on G Sport. We're super excited in the G Sport newsroom, busy planning for the leadership edition of the newsletter coming out on Wednesday. And we thought, who better to talk to in terms of leadership than one of our best sports leaders in the country? She's a legendary former Banyana Banyana captain, an award-winning international coach, Laureus ambassador, G Sport Hall of Famer, and the list goes on. Desiree Ellis, welcome to the big interview. How are you?
Thank you, Kass. Thanks for having me, and I'm just excited to be on. I just want to say G Sport is very active out there on social media, profiling, and you guys are doing a fantastic job.
So, Des, when we have a look at leadership, and I'm going to have a chat about that in a minute, you have managed to play roles on the field, off the field. How do you think that you've managed to keep this reinvention going year after year, that you remain so relevant in 2022?
You see, Kass, for us, it's always about teamwork. We include everyone in what we're doing. Everyone is participating. I don't micromanage. Each and every person that's part of our group are experts in their field. So all we do is sit together. Yes, I oversee everything, but I surround myself with people that are knowledgeable, that understand what we're trying to do, as well as with the players. We have a lead group, of senior players where we always, speak to them about it. We stay in contact, whether we're in camp or outside of camp. And I always say we call ourselves a team. We've got to be a team on the field and off the field, because I think it's important just to touch base and asking how you're doing today, because especially in these times, things happen so quickly. So you got to touch base with people and find out how they're doing. And that has really, really worked for me, but has also worked for us as a group.
As a leader, you've got to be tough, but you've also got to show empathy. How do you strike a balance between the two? Because I know you're a tough one. You're not easy. You give harsh feedback, especially against Netherlands whenever things go wrong. But you're also someone who bigs up the players. How do you create that balance?
My players say I'm a softie. I'm a softie at heart, but that doesn't. That is not my character, It doesn't say who I am. And when I sort of raise my voice, they all, open their eyes and say, "Is that really, coach?" But sometimes you've just got to come across and that raising, a little bit of raising of the voice says that, this is serious stuff. But I try to speak as not as soft, but the way you want to be spoken to. No harsh words. I try to just be open about it and honest about it. And I think that's the most important thing, being honest and open and allowing individuals to be able to give an opinion, And I think that is the respect that we have within our group, where players and other individuals can give an opinion and we can have a discussion, and that is all good. So I think it balances itself out, but you've got to make sure that I think that you're honest and that you're open.
So when you look at leadership, many players would think, I'm not the captain, I don't have to think about leadership. But every player on the field is a leader. What is your advice to footballers about leadership on and off the field?
Oh, no, most definitely. I think that is so important. I've decided to have a group of captains. We don't have one captain. I think it's important that we build future leaders. It's important that we raise the next generation of leaders, because, when players step down, when players step out, we have someone already made to step into that role. So as you have seen, Sibulele has been captain at Kosafa, Mamela's been captain at Kosafa, Janine's the captain as well, Andile's been captain, and now for Rafiwe, Johnny's been captain. And now for the Netherlands game, we had Tembi being the captain. She was the last one of the captains group that hasn't been a captain. So we're just trying to build the next generation of leaders. We're making sure that the players on the field can solve situations within themselves, within the group, because sometimes as coaches we can't get the message across, and as the leaders on the group, they are our mouthpiece on the field. So it's really, really important that we went this route to raise the next generation of leaders.
I love what you're doing, because when you look at succession planning, so often national teams, both men's and women's sport, they struggle, don't they? They lose leaders, and suddenly for about a decade, they have this gap in leadership. And having had the experience that you've had on the field, you're able to see the game in such a different way. Who are the mentors? Who are the ones that you lean on from a leadership perspective?
Well, most definitely, the mentors that I lean on is definitely Vera Pauw, Fran Hilton-Smith, Nomsa Mahlangu, Ilam Groenewald, Bobby Solomons, our acting TD, Frans Mugashwa. It's quite a number of people, because they all bring different aspects to me, feeding from them. And I think that is so important, that I can have this huge group of people around me that I can speak to, that I can bounce off. I'm still in contact with Shalene Boyson, my assistant coach Tina Sonke, and the technical group, as well as the manager. We feed off each other and we bounce things off each other. And that's why I say we're a team on the field, but we're also a team off the field.
You're watching The Big Interview with an outstanding sports leader, Desiree Ellis, chatting to us about leadership both on and off the field. Des, when you have a look at what you've achieved and you have a look at the work that you put into leadership, what is your advice to aspiring sports leaders about the work that needs to be put in to become a good leader?
I think you've got to have a plan, first of all, but you've got to make sure that everybody buys into that plan. On top of that, people that you work with, you've got to get expertise. And you've also got to trust those people, and we've all together got to trust the process, including the players. We got to have open conversations, you know. We always say to the players, we have a group of coaches within our technical team. The assistant coach, if you're uncomfortable speaking to me, you're welcome to go and have a chat with the assistant coach, because we have the same ideas. We don't hide anything from each other. We're open and honest, and some players feel comfortable with certain people. And we've got that open door policy that our doors are open. But if you want to speak to the assistant coach, fine by me. If you want to speak to me, also fine by me. And I think that is so important to have that, because players coming to the national team, already they're under pressure. And now they want to go speak to the head coach and they're afraid. And I always say, you know, we open, what's the worst that can happen? We can only say yes or no. So we have that open door policy that if they want to go speak to the goalkeeper coach, to the fitness trainer, you know, sometimes to the analyst, then we all sit together and we sort of compare notes. You know, that worked really well for us during COVID, when we had this whole big group of over 40 players that was in the core group. And obviously I couldn't give my personal attention to everyone. So we divided the group, you know, and put with the assistant coach, you know, Coach Celine was still around. She had a group of players. The goalkeeper coach had his group of players, where we gave personal interaction. And the players really, really welcomed that. We had Zoom sessions for those that would go on, and, you know, funny Zoom sessions where people's hairstyles had changed and so forth. And it was really, really encouraging. And from feedback from the players was that it was the best thing that could have happened.
What's really great is that you've got the buy-in from the players. And so often you find leaders who feel that I have the way, this is how it works. So having had all this experience and you've had great opportunities, when you start looking at your life moving forward, what are some of the leadership opportunities that could come your way that you would grab? And obviously it would mean us losing you, because I can see it happening. But what are some of the leadership opportunities that could come your way?
Well, I'm currently part of the FIFA Coach Mentorship Program. We've had 3 sessions where we're getting ready to mentor mentees. I was part of the program 2 years ago. Unfortunately, the coaches that I was supposed to mentor were not active. So I'm hoping this time around that I get someone to mentor. I'm also busy with the coach in the USA doing his license, and he just got me on email and asked if he could, you know, chat now and then, just for me to be able to help him in a way where we have discussions. I think it's important that, you know, when you are climbing the ladder, I think Nomsa, if I'm not mistaken, was one of those that said, if you are climbing the ladder, take others with you. And I make sure that people within my group that, you know, when there's Zooms or workshops, that I try and not force, but I try and, you know, get them on the same workshops so that they are also part of this and that they are educating themselves and climbing the ladder as well. So I think it's important that we bring people along with us. I do workshops as well. I did a talk at Stellenbosch University with coaches, and that was really, really exciting because we learn so much from each other. And I think sometimes we're afraid to share. I think it's important. I have a saying that if you've learned something, you have a moral obligation to share that with someone else. And we've got to be open to share ideas. We've got to be open to share things, and that's how we learn and grow. And that's how we learn from each other, because at the end of the day, it's not just women's football, but it's women in sport. And we've got to raise that level and that profile, you know, where everybody's sitting and taking notice of women in sport.
I love that, because I think you sharing your knowledge and your information makes you a great leader. And so when you speak to people about Desiree Ellis, it's not about Desiree the coach, it's Desiree the human being, Desiree the leader, Desiree the coach who wants to see other people achieve. What is the one thing you can say to women in sport that you hope could change perhaps their current situation? Maybe they're going through some anxiety or depression. They've fallen off the tracks. You've been through situations where you've had dark times. What is the one thing you can say to them in this Mental Health Awareness Month in May that could change the game for them?
I think we mustn't be afraid to reach out, because nobody knows what we're facing. Nobody knows what we're going through. I have a great support group, as I said, besides those coaches, my family. My mother video calls me every now and then, my sister, my brother. Even my sister abroad checks in with me. As I said, we as a group check in with each other regularly. And I think it's so important, if you call yourself a friend, you know, that you regularly check in with someone. Sometimes people are posting things and then we think, you know, what are they saying? I think at that moment, that is a time when we need to check in. That is the time that we need to say, we're here for you, that we're here to help you. And we've got to consistently do that with each other. I think a lot of people are afraid to come out if they're suffering with a mental illness. But, you know, we are there. And I think if the person is not reaching out, as friends, we should check in on a regular basis just to make sure that everyone is okay, because it's not something that people speak about, but it is out there, you know, and we've got to make sure that we help in every way, in any and every way we can. I remember there was a coach that posted something, and I went offline and I chatted to him, and I kept on chatting to him, and he's back on track now again. He's back busy coaching again. So that is really fantastic. And we got to make sure that we the ones, you know, if we call ourselves friends, that we reach out, because mental health is really serious. You know, over the last couple of months, we've seen a lot of people take their lives. And I think, you know, I'm not saying it could have been avoided, but I'm just saying that we as friends need to reach out and not think that the person is okay. If we are not seeing the person often enough or hearing from the person often enough, we need to check in if we call ourselves friends, because maybe that little one call or that little one message is what that person was actually looking forward to.
Such a pleasure having you on the show and having you as our big interview this week, especially around leadership. I think you've shared some nuggets of gold that young leaders and especially established leaders will learn, that in order to leave a good legacy, you've got to want to share what you know. Desiree, Ellis, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Kass.
I absolutely love the fact that we managed to get hold of Desiree Ellis. Do you know how difficult it is to get hold of her? And now you can see why, because she's always trying to up her knowledge. She's always learning. She's always providing information and support to everyone. So many takeouts from that interview. I think I actually need to watch it again myself. But a couple of things that stood out for me, Nomsa Mahlangu, one of our top leaders in sport in South Africa, on the African continent itself, talking about how when you surge ahead, you bring others with you. And that's exactly how Desiree lives her life. But the other thing is talking about mental health, especially in Mental Health Awareness Month, and how we need to just be able to reach out, especially when you have a funny feeling about someone, you haven't heard from someone, just to be able to pick up the phone or just send a WhatsApp message. It means so much. And I think a lot of us, especially when we're going through tough times, are not able to just pick up the phone and say, hey, I need some help. So I'm sure we'll have some more of that kind of content coming up on the gsport platforms throughout the month of May. It's a very exciting time for women's sports, so we just keep on track in terms of the breaking news on gsport.co.za and at gsport for girls on social media. Give us a follow and you won't miss a beat at all. And I won't be doing any justice if I don't ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's so much more to come from here. My parting shot for tonight, and I thought it has to go to Motsidisi Mohono, the former Momentum G Sport Award winner, and she's just been appointed as the host of the new Game Time Sports Show on Radio 2000, Monday to Friday, 6 to 7. So proud of you, Motsidisi, and such a voice of rugby in South Africa. But now we get to hear her using her voice, amplifying her voice in support of all sports. So tune in on Radio 2000, Monday to Friday, 6 to 7. That's where we're going to wrap it up this Monday evening on G Sport Live. I'm Kass Naidoo. I can't believe it's been 3 editions already, and there's just so much more to come from this channel, especially as we blood new talent to be able to front the camera, to be able to stand up for women's sport. And you'll see some brand new faces coming your way in the next couple of weeks and months here on the G Sport for Girls YouTube channel. From all of us, a very good evening to you. And remember, keep supporting women's sport. We're heading places. Good night. Can I leave?